In the quiet, wood-paneled sanctum of the courtroom, the air hung heavy with the weight of expectation. Judge Ebony K. Rose sat regally behind the bench, her presence commanding and composed. She was a woman who carried the poise of the West Coast, the sharpness of a New York edge, and the deep, abiding roots of the South. To her, this courtroom was not merely a room of law. It was a sanctuary of fairness where the only thing that mattered was the truth, unvarnished and absolute. Mr. Derek Goodwin stood as the plaintiff, his posture tense, his eyes weary from a struggle he had never asked for. Across the aisle sat Julia Hadley, the defendant, a landlord who maintained a veneer of administrative detachment that felt cold against the human tragedy of the situation. Judge Ebony looked down at the nameplate on her desk, then surveyed the room. Equal justice, she reminded the court, was the cornerstone of their society. It was about freedom and integrity, values that transcended simple paperwork. Mr. Goodwin, tell me about your claim, the judge prompted, her voice steady. Derek cleared his throat, his hands trembling slightly as he spoke of the day his life had been upended. Your Honor, I was mistakenly evicted. They meant to evict the unit next door. We were fully paid up on rent. We had never missed a payment. My daughter and I came home to find our belongings strewn across the curb like trash. Some had been tossed into a dumpster. When we entered our home, everything was gone. He paused, his voice cracking. My daughter, who is only 5 years old, lost her teddy bear. We found it ripped in half on the street. It was traumatic for her. When I asked the defendant for reimbursement, she made no effort to deal in good faith. She asked me to submit a rental application, only to deny me later based on credit scores. She left us with nothing. The judge turned her attention to the documents. She noted the lease agreement, which bore only the name of Anna Smith, Derek's former girlfriend. Mr. Goodwin, you acknowledge your name was not on this lease? Yes, Your Honor, Derek replied. But I paid the rent. Everything was communicated to me by my girlfriend. I moved in 6 months after they established the place, and when we broke up, I stayed on to ensure my daughter would not have to change schools. I paid $2,500 a month. Julia Hadley interjected, her voice sharp. Your Honor, I never evicted him. If he is not on a lease, he cannot be evicted. My property management team made a mistake, yes, but once we discovered the error, the items were already gone. I am not responsible for the belongings of a man who does not legally exist on my contract. The judge leaned forward, her expression narrowing. Ms. Hadley, you admit your team evicted the wrong unit. You admit you were receiving $2,500 a month for a unit that was supposed to be rented for $1,500. You were collecting money from a tenant you claim you did not know existed. That is correct, but it was a month-to-month adjustment, Julia argued. The judge sighed, a sound of weary patience. People often play at being lawyers, relying on the four corners of a document while ignoring the reality of human existence. In this nation, possession of property grants rights, even absent a formal lease. You had a minor child living in that unit for 2 years. You failed to inspect the property, failed to oversee your team, and failed to act with integrity when the mistake was brought to your attention. The courtroom fell silent as the weight of the judge's words settled. She continued, addressing the claim for $20,000. Mr. Goodwin, you have asked for $20,000, but the court requires proof. I can only rule on the evidence presented, the receipts for the television and the sofa. Possession is 9/10 of the law, the judge declared, her voice firm. It is more controlling than any document that lacks the truth of who occupied the space. You were a good tenant, Mr. Goodwin, and you were in legal physical possession of that home. Judge Ebony K. Rose struck the gavel. I rule in favor of the plaintiff. Ms. Hadley, you are ordered to pay $5,000. You failed to act with the diligence a landlord owes to those residing in their property. As the court adjourned, the tension in the room remained, a testament to the complexities of human lives tangled in the web of bureaucracy. Mr. Goodwin exhaled, the resolution of his struggle bringing a small measure of peace to his daughter's father. The judge watched them exit, her mind already turning toward the next case, the next voice for the voiceless, the next pursuit of equal justice.